In the heart of India, where the monsoon rains meet the burning sun, a boy was born into a world of uncertainty. He was not born into royalty, nor into riches. He was born into a family that knew struggle, that knew sacrifice, that knew the taste of hope and the sting of disappointment. But from the very first breath, there was something different about him. A fire, a hunger, a vision that reached far beyond the narrow streets of his childhood. He would grow to become a titan, a force, a name that would echo across continents. He would build an empire from the dust and change the destiny of a nation. This is not just the story of a businessman. This is the story of a dreamer who refused to be ordinary. This is the story of Mukesh Ambani, and it begins. In the most unlikely of places, Mukesh Ambani was born on April 19, 1957, in the bustling city of Aden, Yemen. His father, Dhirubhai Ambani, was a man of ambition, a man who believed that destiny was not given but made. His mother, Kokalaban, was the heart of the family, her gentle hands shaping the lives of her children with love and discipline. The Ambanis were not wealthy. They lived in a modest apartment, their days marked by hard work and simple joys. But in that small home, a dream was quietly taking root. Mukesh Ambani was a curious child, always asking questions, always seeking answers. He watched his father work tirelessly, building a business from nothing, brick by brick, deal by deal. He saw the sacrifices, the late nights, the endless hustle. He saw the way his father treated every setback as a lesson, every failure as a stepping stone, and somewhere deep inside, Mukesh Ambani made a promise to himself. He would honor his father's legacy. He would build something even greater. The family moved back to India when Mukesh Ambani was a young boy. They settled in Mumbai, a city of dreams and contradictions. The city was alive with energy, with possibility, with hope. But it was also a city of struggle, of poverty, of endless competition. Mukesh Ambani attended Hill Grange High School, where he was an average student by grades, but extraordinary in curiosity. He was fascinated by science, by technology, by the way things worked. He would spend hours taking apart radios, building model airplanes, dreaming of a future where anything was possible. His father encouraged him, but never handed him anything on a silver platter. Dhirubhai believed in the power of struggle, in the value of hard work. He taught Mukesh Ambani to be humble, to be hungry, to never take anything for granted. He taught him that success was not about luck, but about relentless effort. Mukesh Ambani learned to live simply, to value every rupee, to respect every opportunity. The Ambani home was filled with laughter, with stories, with dreams. Mukesh Ambani was close to his siblings Anil, Neena, and Deepti. They shared everything, from toys to secrets to ambitions. But even as a child, Mukesh Ambani stood apart. He was quiet, thoughtful, always observing, always planning. He saw the world not as it was, but as it could be. He watched his father build Reliance from a small trading company into a growing business. He saw the risks, the failures, the moments of doubt, but he also saw the victories, the breakthroughs, the moments of triumph. He learned that business was not just about numbers, it was about people, about trust, about vision. As Mukesh Ambani grew older, his dreams grew bigger. He wanted to study, to learn, to understand the world beyond Mumbai. He enrolled at the Institute of Chemical Technology, one of India's top engineering schools. He threw himself into his studies, driven by a desire to make his family proud. He was not the loudest in the room, but he was always the most determined. But even as he excelled in academics, Mukesh Ambani never lost sight of his roots. He would return home on weekends, spending time with his family, listening to his father's stories, absorbing every lesson. He learned that success was not a destination, but a journey. A journey filled with obstacles, with setbacks, with moments of doubt, but also a journey filled with hope, with possibility, with the promise of something greater. And as he stood on the threshold of adulthood, Mukesh Ambani knew that his journey was just beginning. But what happened next would test every lesson he had learned and force him to make a choice that would change his life forever. Mukesh Ambani's world was about to change. His father, Dhirubhai, saw something in him, a spark, a potential, a hunger. He called Mukesh Ambani into his office one evening, the city lights twinkling. Outside the window, he spoke of dreams, of challenges, of the future. He told Mukesh Ambani that Reliance was ready to take its next big leap. He wanted Mukesh Ambani by his side. It was a moment of pride, but also a moment of fear. Mukesh Ambani was still a student, still learning, still finding his way. He had dreams of studying abroad, of seeing the world, of building his own path, but his father's words echoed in his heart. Success is not about what you want, it's about what you're willing to give. Mukesh Ambani made a choice. He put his dreams on hold. He joined Reliance, stepping into a world of uncertainty, of risk, of endless possibility. He was just 24 years old. The world outside was changing. India was on the brink of transformation. The economy was opening up. New opportunities were emerging. New challenges were rising. Mukesh Ambani knew that the road ahead would not be easy, but he was ready. He was hungry. He was determined to make his mark, but the first steps into the world of business would be far more difficult than he ever imagined. Mukesh Ambani entered Reliance at a time of great uncertainty. The company was growing, but the challenges were immense. The textile business was fiercely competitive, margins were thin, and the future was uncertain. Mukesh Ambani was young, inexperienced, and untested. He faced skepticism from employees, from partners, from the world outside. He started at the bottom, learning every aspect of the business. He spent days in the factory, understanding the machines, the processes, the people. He listened more than he spoke, absorbing every detail, every lesson. He worked long hours, often late into the night, driven by a desire to prove himself, but the challenges kept coming. The textile market was volatile, prices fluctuated, demand was unpredictable. Reliance faced cash flow problems, supply chain disruptions, regulatory hurdles. Mukesh Ambani watched as his father navigated crisis after crisis, always calm, always focused, always relentless. He learned that business was not just about strategy, it was about resilience. It was about the ability to adapt, to pivot, to find solutions in the face of adversity. He learned to trust his instincts, to take calculated risks, to never back down from a challenge. But the pressure was immense. Every decision carried weight. Every mistake had consequences. Mukesh Ambani felt the burden of expectation, the fear of failure, the constant need to prove himself. He questioned his abilities, his choices, his future. He watched as competitors tried to undermine Reliance, spreading rumors, creating obstacles, fighting for every inch of market share. He saw the politics, the betrayals, the harsh realities of the business world. He learned that trust was rare, that loyalty was fragile, that success was never guaranteed. But through it all, Mukesh Ambani never gave up. He kept showing up, kept working, kept believing. He learned to find strength in struggle, to find hope in hardship, to find purpose in pain. He started to see results. Reliance began to grow slowly but surely. The company expanded into new markets, launched new products, built new relationships. Mukesh Ambani played a key role, driving innovation, pushing boundaries, challenging the status quo. But the road ahead was still long, and the challenges were only just beginning. And then, just as things began to look up, a crisis struck that would threaten to destroy everything they had built. The textile business was hit by a sudden downturn. Demand plummeted, prices crashed, losses mounted. Reliance was on the brink of collapse. Mukesh Ambani watched as his father faced the crisis head-on, refusing to panic, refusing to give up. He learned that true leadership is not about avoiding problems, it's about facing them with courage and conviction. He worked alongside his father day and night, searching for solutions, rallying the team, fighting for survival. He learned to make tough decisions, to take responsibility, to lead by example. The crisis passed, but the scars remained. Mukesh Ambani emerged stronger, wiser, more determined than ever. He realized that success was not about avoiding failure, it was about learning from it, growing from it, using it as fuel. He made a promise to himself. No matter what happened, he would never give up. He would never stop fighting. He would never stop believing, but the next challenge would be even greater, and it would test not just his skills, but his very soul. Mukesh Ambani's journey was marked by setbacks, by failures, by moments of doubt. He watched as Reliance faced regulatory hurdles, government investigations, public scrutiny. He saw the headlines, the rumors, the accusations. He felt the weight of the world on his shoulders. He wondered if they would survive, if they would ever be able to rebuild their reputation. He faced betrayal from within, trusted partners who turned against them, employees who leaked secrets, friends who became enemies. He learned that success breeds envy, that power attracts opposition, that the higher you climb, the harder you fall. He made mistakes, big ones. He launched projects that failed, invested in ventures that lost money, trusted people who let him down. He faced criticism from the media, from competitors, from the public. He was called arrogant, reckless, ruthless. He questioned himself, his choices, his vision. He wondered if he was cut out for this, if he was worthy of his father's legacy. He watched as other companies soared, while Reliance struggled. He felt the sting of humiliation, the pain of disappointment, the fear of failure. But through it all, Mukesh Ambani never gave up. He kept showing up, kept working, kept believing. He learned to embrace failure, to see it as a teacher, not an enemy. He learned that every setback was a lesson, every mistake a stepping stone. He learned that the only way to fail was to quit. He made a promise to himself. No matter what happened, he would never give up. He would never stop fighting. He would never stop believing. But just when he thought he had weathered the worst, a personal tragedy would shake him to his core. In 2002, Dhirubhai Ambani suffered a stroke and passed away. Mukesh Ambani was devastated. His father was his mentor, his guide, his hero. He felt lost, alone, overwhelmed by grief. He wondered how he would go on, how he would fill the void left by his father's absence. He faced a new challenge, a bitter feud with his younger brother, Anil. The battle for control of Reliance threatened to tear the family apart. The media watched, the public speculated, the world waited. Mukesh Ambani was forced to make impossible choices, to navigate a minefield of emotions, loyalties, and ambitions. He felt the weight of responsibility, the burden of expectation, the pain of betrayal. He wondered if he would ever be able to heal, to forgive, to move on. But even in the darkest moments, Mukesh Ambani refused to give up. He kept showing up, kept working, kept believing. He learned that true strength is not about never falling, it's about getting back up every single time. He learned that leadership is not about power, it's about purpose. He learned that the greatest empires are built not on money, but on values, not on power, but on love. But what happened next would force Mukesh Ambani to reinvent himself and redefine the very future of Reliance. The split with his brother was public, painful, and deeply personal. The Ambani family, once united, was now divided. The world watched as the brothers fought for control, for legacy, for the future. Mukesh Ambani was given control of Reliance Industries, while Anil took over Reliance Communications and other businesses. It was a victory, but it felt hollow. Mukesh Ambani felt the weight of the world on his shoulders. He was now responsible for thousands of employees, for billions of dollars, for the hopes and dreams of an entire nation. He faced skepticism from investors, from analysts, from the public. He was seen as the heir, not the leader. He was doubted, questioned, criticized. He wondered if he was up to the task, if he could live up to his father's legacy. He faced a series of setbacks, projects that stalled, investments that failed, markets that crashed. He watched as competitors surged ahead, as new technologies disrupted old industries, as the world changed faster than ever before. He felt isolated, alone, overwhelmed. He questioned his vision, his strategy, his purpose. He wondered if he had made the right choices, if he was on the right path. He faced sleepless nights, endless meetings, relentless pressure. He felt the burden of expectation, the fear of failure, the pain of regret. But even in the darkest moments, Mukesh Ambani refused to give up. He kept showing up, kept working, kept believing. He learned to find strength in struggle, to find hope in hardship too. Find purpose in pain. He realized that the only way out was through. He made a promise to himself. No matter what happened, he would never give up. He would never stop fighting. He would never stop believing. And then, in the midst of the darkness, a single idea would ignite a revolution and change the course of history. Mukesh Ambani saw the future before anyone else. He saw that India was on the brink of a digital revolution. He saw that connectivity was the key to unlocking the nation's potential. He dreamed of a world where every Indian, rich or poor, urban or rural, could access the internet, could connect, could dream. He knew it would not be easy. The infrastructure was lacking, the costs were high, the risks were immense, but Mukesh Ambani was undeterred. He believed that the future belonged to those who dared to dream big. He assembled a team of visionaries, of engineers, of dreamers. He poured billions into building a world-class network, into laying fiber optic cables, into creating a digital ecosystem. He faced skepticism, criticism, doubt. He was told it was impossible, that it would never work, that he was risking everything. But Mukesh Ambani kept going. He kept fighting. He kept believing. He worked day and night, driven by a vision of a connected India. He faced setbacks, technical challenges, regulatory hurdles, financial pressures, but he refused to quit. He refused to let the world break him. He kept going, kept fighting, kept believing. And then, in 2016, Jio was born. But what happened next would shock the world and redefine the very meaning of success. Jio launched. With a simple promise, affordable high-speed internet for every Indian. The response was unprecedented. Millions signed up within weeks. The competition was stunned. The market was transformed overnight. Mukesh Ambani had done the impossible. He had brought the internet to the masses. He had connected a nation. He had sparked a digital revolution. Jio became the fastest-growing telecom company in the world. Mukesh Ambani watched as his vision became reality. He saw students in remote villages accessing online education. He saw farmers using smartphones to check crop prices. He saw entrepreneurs building businesses from their homes. He saw a new India emerging, connected, empowered, unstoppable. But the journey was far from over. Mukesh Ambani knew that success was not a destination, but a journey. He continued to innovate, to invest, to dream. He expanded Jio into new areas: digital payments, e-commerce, entertainment. He built partnerships with global giants: Facebook, Google, Microsoft. He created a digital ecosystem that touched every aspect of life. He became a symbol of hope, of possibility, of the power of dreams. He inspired a generation to believe, to fight, to never give up. He made a promise to himself: no matter what happened, he would never stop dreaming. He would never stop fighting. He would never stop believing. But even as he reached new heights, Mukesh Ambani faced challenges that would test his vision and his very soul. The competition fought back. Regulators imposed new rules. The market became more volatile, more unpredictable. Mukesh Ambani faced criticism for his aggressive tactics, for his dominance, for his ambition. He was accused of creating a monopoly, of stifling competition, of wielding too much power. He faced lawsuits, investigations, public scrutiny. He watched as the world questioned his motives, his methods, his vision. But Mukesh Ambani refused to be deterred. He kept showing up, kept working, kept believing. He learned to adapt, to innovate, to stay ahead of the curve. He invested in new technologies: artificial intelligence, blockchain, renewable energy. He built new businesses, created new opportunities, changed new lives. He became a global leader, a visionary, a force for change. He inspired others to dream, to fight, to believe. He made a promise to himself: no matter what happened, he would never stop dreaming. He would never stop fighting. He would never stop believing. But as he looked back on his journey, Mukesh Ambani realized that the greatest lessons were not about business, but about life itself. Mukesh Ambani had built an empire. Reliance was now a global powerhouse, with interests in energy, petrochemicals, retail, telecommunications, and more. Mukesh Ambani was one of the richest men in the world, but he never forgot where he came from. He remembered the struggles, the sacrifices, the pain. He remembered the lessons his father taught him: the value of hard work, the power of resilience, the importance of never giving up. He built a culture of excellence, of integrity, of relentless pursuit of greatness. He became a mentor, a guide, a source of inspiration for others. He gave back, donating time, money, resources to those in need. He built schools, hospitals, foundations. He invested in the future, in the next generation, in the dreams of millions. He became a symbol of hope, of possibility, of the power of dreams. He inspired a nation to believe, to fight, to never give up. He made a promise to himself: no matter what happened, he would never stop dreaming. He would never stop fighting. He would never stop believing. But even as he built his empire, Mukesh Ambani knew that true success was not about wealth or power, it was about legacy. He focused on building a legacy that would outlast him. He invested in sustainability, in innovation, in the future. He empowered his children, Isha, Akash, and Anant, to take on leadership roles, to carry the torch forward. He taught them the same lessons his father taught him: the value of hard work, the power of resilience, the importance of never giving up. He built a family, a company, a nation. He became a role model, a leader, a legend. He realized that greatness is not about what you achieve, it's about who you become. He made a promise to himself: no matter what happened, he would never stop dreaming. He would never stop fighting. He would never stop believing, because he knew that the journey never ends. There is always another mountain to climb, another dream to chase, another life to change. And as the sun set on his journey, Mukesh Ambani knew that his story was far from over. Mukesh Ambani's life is a testament to the power of dreams. He proved that it doesn't matter where you start, it matters where you finish. He showed that success is not about luck or privilege or circumstance. It's about resilience, about grit, about the refusal to give up. He taught that failure is not the end, it's the beginning. It's the moment when you decide who you are and what you're willing to fight for. He believed that the only limits are the ones we place on ourselves. He showed that true success is not about money or fame, it's about impact, about legacy, about making a difference. He built an empire, but he never lost sight of what mattered most: family. Values, purpose. He inspired millions to dream, to fight, to believe. He became a symbol of hope, of possibility, of the power of the human spirit. He made a promise to himself: no matter what happened, he would never stop dreaming. He would never stop fighting. He would never stop believing, because he knew that the journey never ends. There is always another mountain to climb, another dream to chase, another life to change. And as the world watched, Mukesh Ambani prepared for the next chapter, a chapter that would inspire generations to come. Because in the end, it's not about the money, it's not about the fame, it's not about the empire you build, it's about the lives you touch, the hearts you inspire, the dreams you ignite. It's about the courage to keep going, even when the world says no. It's about the strength to get back up every single time you fall. It's about the belief that anything is possible if you refuse to give up. It's about the power of hope, the magic of resilience, the beauty of the human spirit. So dream big, fight hard, never give up, because your story is not over. It's just beginning, and the world is waiting for you to rise, to shine, to change everything. This is your moment, this is your time, this is your legacy. So go out there and make it unforgettable.